Hi everyone, and welcome to our final week of coding for educators. This week is our Python programming lesson, in which we'll go over the purpose of using Python and how to code within this program. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, similar to Scratch, we are programming and creating a set of rules for Python to run and respond to. However, with Python, the programmer is able to create a syntax, which is it's also known as to be a set of rules for the program to run. You also have more flexibility with Python to create really whatever comes to mind. So you become very creative and imaginative in what you want to use it for. For example, you can use Python in creating an Etch Sketch to even creating a card game. So the ideas are really endless. So let's go ahead and get started in today's lesson. We'll first begin with what Python shell is and how it plays a role in Python. Python shell acts as a medium between you and the Python interpreter. When we do our programming and submit our code to run, it gets submitted to the interpreter. Throughout this semester, we have been using idle, which is just a standard Python installation. Like any other program, when we save and run the set of code, it will notify us if there's an error within our syntax or our set of rules. Important vocabulary to keep in mind is variables, for and while loops, if, elif, and else statements, and finally a function. When we think of the word function in our programming, we tend to think of an expression involving one or more variables that help us perform a specific task. Through the sequence of steps, use them and modify them with different input values. In order to use a function, we start off by using def, letting Python know that we are going to define a variable. For this example, we are going to use Python Turtle to show you not only how great my drawing skills are, but also how to draw using Python. Through Python Turtle, we can definitely introduce programming to younger students. So let's go ahead and start with our program. To make our turtle appear, we'll need to type two commands. The first one is importing turtle, so we're going to go ahead and type import turtle. Writing this command will let our program know that we are working with Python Turtle. The next, we need to name our turtle. So to name my turtle T. So T equals turtle dot pen. We're going to close those parentheses. Now you can name your turtle anything as you would like. It could be a letter, a name, etc. You just want to keep in mind that whatever you name it is whatever you're going to use, so forth and then on. Alright, so what you notice then is when we click enter, this Python Turtle graphics appears. But since we don't have any movement or have defined any colors, there's really not much to the turtle graphics. So we're going to go ahead and leave this to the side. And as we code, we're going to the different movements throughout each line of code. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want my little turtle, which looks actually like a triangle for right now, to move forward. So in order for it to move forward, I want to show that T dot forward, and then put parentheses, and then I can put the distance. Now the distance, as it says here, is going to be measured within pixels. So let's go ahead and put 20. So when I put enter, you notice that over here the turtle has moved 20 pixels. The more pixels it is, the further the distance it's going to be. So let's see here. So now that we have it moved forward 20, let's try to create a shape. For the sake, let's go ahead and try to make a square. So I need my turtle to go ahead and move to the left. So moving to the left, similar to the forward, I'm going to go ahead and put T left. And in my parentheses, now instead of a distance, it's going to have the turtle move in an angle, so a certain angle. So whatever you put within the parentheses is the defining the angle that it's going to turn. So because I want a square, we know that a square of each side is 90 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and put 90 within my parentheses. And we see that it has now moved to the left at a perfect 90-degree angle. So in order for it to create a square, I need to go ahead and have it move forward another 20 pixels. Oh. Again, I'm going to close this parentheses. And now we need it again to make it to the left. So we're going to keep doing that. Again, it's going to be 90 because it's a 90-degree angle. But now we need it to move forward again. So again, I'm going to put forward. And so on and so forth. Let's see. There you go. T dot left again. Nope. And T dot forward. Another 20 pixels. So I notice when we put enter, we've now created a square. We can go ahead and help define more shapes by being the type of shape that we want. So for example, let's go ahead and create a circle. To create a circle, again, I'm going to define my T, which let's go ahead and put T dot circle, and we're going to put the parentheses again. And in this case, the parentheses is going to show the radius of the measurement of the circle we would want. So let's go ahead and put 90. Or let's put 100, so it's a little bit different. When we click enter, what we're going to notice over here on this end is it went ahead and drew a circle. So we can definitely put different shapes and different measurements or angles, whether or not within the parentheses. So basic understanding of how to use Python turtle graphics within our Python shell. This is a clean slate. I'm now going to show you how to use else, if, and elif statements within our coding. Using these else and elif statements, I'm going to go ahead and not use turtle graphics. This time I'm going to show you a different set of code that will, for this example, show what your letter grade is for the percentage that you will receive in a class. Start off by importing random. Alright, so because we're focusing now on a letter grade that we'll receive in our class, I want to go ahead and define my grade. It's going to be an evaluation and input. And what's nice when we start putting these variables, it kind of lets us know here kind of the definition, which evaluate the given source in the context of globals and locals. We're going to go ahead and input, which is going to spew out, enter your number grade, which is 0 to 100. We want to make sure we have the correct amount of parentheses here. If not, it's going to let us know that there's an error. All right, perfect. So we're going to first start off with an if statement, letting us know. So we know that an A, in order to receive the letter grade A, it is between 90 and 100. So if the grade is greater than or equal to 90, I want to print out that we have received an A. So you received an A. So this is what's going to end up saying, spewing out when you type a number that is greater than or equal to 90. I'm sorry. So we received an A. Let's go ahead and add a smiley face on there. Yep. Okay. So now we are going to use which helps me string together if-else statements when I need to check for 2 or more possible outcomes. Because we're going to be focusing on more than 2 possible outcomes, thus I'm going to end up putting in an elif statement. So we're going to go ahead and type that in a new line of code. Elif, my grade is greater than or equal to 80. I want to print that you received a B. And we'll make sure we close the parentheses. And again, I'm going to put another elif statement because it's more than 2 variables occurring here. So same thing, elif grade equals, this time it's 70. It's 70. Again, I'm going to print, wrong parenthesis. You received a C. And let's go ahead and end up closing it. Because a D or lower, that means that you have failed. So we're going to go ahead and close it by putting an else statement. So else means that if the number that you put as an input is not 70 up to 100, it's going to let us know that you failed. You failed. And let's go ahead and close those parentheses. All right, so now we want to make sure that our code is running correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'm going to go ahead and run the module. So let's go ahead and see. So enter your number grade here. Let's go ahead and say that I received an 80. Oh, we received a B. So now we know that our code is working and what we typed in here is correct. Again, we can use else elif statements if there's two or more variables we're working with, which in this case we were, and we end up ending our line of code with our else statement. For the sake of time, we're going to be focusing on a set of code that I have already created. This program is called Rock, Paper, Scissors. For all of you that are familiar with the game, you know that there are 3 choices in the regular standard game. So to begin with, I went ahead and imported random, which lets me get access to the functions that will help me create the random choices. In my second line, it's important for me to define these choices, which, as I mentioned, there are 3 standard, which are rock, paper, and scissors. And when I go ahead and run it, it's going to go ahead and ask me which of these I would prefer for each match, I guess I could say, or round. It's very important to type in exactly how I type it in here. For example, if I use a capital S within my choice, it's going to let me know that there's an error because that's not how I typed it in as a choice. So I listed then my 3 items there. Next, what I'm going to have is defining player, which helps me then know what the player is going to end up choosing as their choice. So we have here player equals the input. Do you want to be rock, paper, or scissors? And now we're ready to start our loop. Our loop is going to help us create a set of instructions that is repeated until a condition is reached. So until the condition, in this case, quit, is reached. Once the player types in quit, that's going to automatically shut down the program. All right, so then in my next line, like I mentioned now, I have now created a loop. I want to go ahead and define my player as well as my computer. Now, because I don't really have a virtual person to play with, the computer is going to go ahead and spew out random choices. So whether it be rock, paper, scissors. So in order for it to create a random choice, I want the computer to equal random.choices. And like I said, we don't really know what the choice is going to be because it's going to be at random. This are elif and else statements mentioned here because we're going to be working with 2 or more variables. In this case, we're working with 3 variables. So for each set of rock, paper, and scissors, I want each set of rules. And finally here, else helps me close off that loop, which shows me that there's an error. Please try again. Meaning that if any of the 3 choices that I write is not provided, it's going to spew out an error. So let's go ahead and run this program to see if everything does work and what ends up happening. Again, I'm given then my choices here. So let's go ahead and click paper. It's a tie. So now we know that the computer chose paper. Let's go ahead and see if we click paper again, I win. And then the computer wins. Again, like I mentioned, it's going to be at random, so we never really know what the computer is going to choose and who's really going to win. So it's a little bit fun for all ages to play. And well, there you have it throughout our mini long lesson of Python. You enjoyed watching my videos. Thank you.